My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
Former FBI Director James Comey is remaining defiant and denied any wrongdoing after a federal grand jury indicted him on 2 charges related to his 2020 testimony to the Senate. The Justice Department accuses Comey of making false statements and obstruction. He could face up to 5 years in prison if convicted. The statute of limitations for the charges was set to expire next week, and the development marks a major escalation in President Trump's efforts to target his political opponents.
You can't let this go on. They are sick, radical left people, and they can't get away with it. And Comey was one of the people. He wasn't the biggest, but he's a dirty cop. He's always been a dirty cop.
CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman and CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane are following all of this for us. Scott, I want to begin with you. Thanks for joining us. A grand jury voted to indict Comey on 2 counts, but threw out a 3rd charge. Walk us through these charges and the significance of not prosecuting on the 3rd.
The 2 charges that went through, Meg, are false statement and obstruction, both involving his testimony 5 years ago this week at the U.S. Senate. He was investigated, and talking about the investigation into the 2016 election. The allegations are sparse in these charging documents, Meg. It's boilerplate language. No specific granular allegations are included. The Department of Justice may add those at a later date before this case goes towards a trial. The arraignment will happen October 9th at the federal courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia. James Comey has already professed his innocence, and his supporters have already argued that this is a political prosecution by a president who has pledged retribution and who declaratively asked his Department of Justice to file a criminal case against James Comey. It's a small case in stature right now. It's a brief charging document. These are small-level charges relative to federal crimes. But it's an enormously important case because critics say it is showing a firewall is dissolving that separates political considerations from Justice Department prosecutions.
And Scott, U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan was the only one named on this case. Is that uncommon?
It's wildly uncommon for a U.S. attorney to put her name on a charging document and nobody joined her or him in the process. What a tumultuous week this has been, Meg, inside the U.S. Department of Justice. Last weekend, the president made that Truth Social post calling for prosecutions of some of his political opponents. The prior U.S. attorney in Virginia was ousted by Trump. He wasn't moving forward with the cases. Lindsay Halligan, who you see there, a White House aide, was installed as the new interim U.S. attorney. And then just days later, there's a case against James Comey, and Lindsay Halligan's the only person putting her name on it. There's been one resignation in the Eastern District of Virginia prosecutor's office already because of this. There could be more in the days to come.
You mentioned October 9th. This is all going to go down. What happens from between now and then?
It's possible there are some challenges filed by Comey's defense, and his attorney is a famous name in legal circles, Patrick Fitzgerald, former U.S. attorney, former high-profile defense attorney in other Washington, D.C. cases. He was served the summons by an FBI agent last night. It's possible they make an argument that this case should be dismissed for any number of reasons. It's also possible, Meg, that the Justice Department comes back with what they call a superseding indictment, a new expanded charging document that puts some color behind these accusations, gets a little more detail-oriented with what they're saying here. That could happen before October 9th, too. There could be a booking photo taken of James Comey, but the feds prohibit the release of those images if they're taken.
All right, Scott MacFarlane with all those details. Thank you very much. Earlier on CBS Morning's legal analyst Caroline Pelosi discussed the strength of the charges Comey is facing.
The federal government in general has about a 90% success rate when it comes to obtaining a guilty charge after an indictment. There are unique characteristics of this case that make it a potential outlier, meaning I think the prosecutors may have an uphill battle here, not the least of which is the fact that this case has been languishing for 5 years. They got this indictment in just under the wire of that statute of limitations. This case has been run up and down the flagpole many times before.
CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman is also following this. He is on the black horse at Bethpage State Park in Farmingdale, New York, where the president is attending the Ryder Cup. Willie, thanks for joining us. We heard a little of President Trump's response to Comey's indictment as he left the White House this morning, including the fact that there may be more indictments coming. What more do we know, and any idea on the timing?
Yeah, that's right. It's a wait-and-see game in terms of what happens next and what political rivals or enemies could end up with an indictment, who could be potentially indicted. But the president did try to put that public pressure on the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, over the weekend in a post on Truth Social, essentially calling out James Comey, the former FBI Director, Letitia James, as well, the Attorney General of New York, and Adam Schiff, the senator from California. Those three political enemies, if you will, of the president. At least one of them now has been indicted following a shift and change in the Department of Justice. Now, the president did blast Comey both on social media and when he spoke to reporters earlier today, calling Comey a liar, saying that he lied, and also calling him a bad cop. He also went on to say that he expects more individuals to perhaps be investigated by the Department of Justice. The president, when asked if this was revenge or if it was justice, he said it was not about revenge. It was more focused on justice and holding those in power to account. We, of course, have seen this president blast some of those former officials and current officials on his social media platform and in other ways as well. But the president seemingly here celebrating this move, but also saying that it is focused on the Justice Department going after these individuals for allegations and criminal allegations, I should say, in terms of their past behavior, Meg.
All right, Willie James Inman, thank you.